Blessed be all my people out there. In this video, we're going to be answering a frequently asked age-old question. Well, we're actually answering two questions. How long does it take for a spell to really show results? And how do I know if my spell is working? And these two kind of come part and parcel with each other, and they can be answered at the same time. And so that's what I'm just going to do here for you. But I am going to put something up here first. When I'm talking about how do I know my spell, my manifestation, my alchemy work, my healing work is working, I am definitely talking about magic and energy work itself. So if you found this video and you were thinking a little bit more on like the self-help personal development side of things, you're in for a bit of a trip if you are going to stick it out. Number two, I also want to say that there is a difference in how many different kinds of spells work and many different kinds of spells act, or how they are cast even. So we're going to look for medians so that you can, of course, understand, okay, if I'm doing this kind of spell, I should only have to wait max 2 weeks to see a result. If I'm going to do this kind of spell, or somebody's doing this kind of spell on my behalf, I should only have to wait a month, and so on and so forth. So we're gonna put little categories into this, and of course, if something's not working, then we can talk about that too. But I want to make sure that you understand, like, there's different categories for everything, but there is an answer, and that's what we're going to talk about here. When it comes to timing, the first and foremost factor in this is, of course, going to be skill level, experience, power, energy, and adepthood. How good is somebody at actually doing the work? You know, how strong or how capable, how adept are they at moving energy, and of course, setting things towards the intention that they desire. Spells that are overly general, overly nebulous, overly, they're just not really well thought out. There's not really a crystal clear or coherent intention. It's not to say that they don't work. It's just that they tend to fizzle. And so you might end up in a situation where you start to see results really fast, like within a week or two, and then things just kind of fall apart. If you are working with a spell where you might be a little bit more clear in your intention, but maybe you're so conditional on everything, that spell itself might not ever go anywhere, because the universe goes by path of least resistance. And sometimes the conditions we put on things are also going to be very resistant. So we have to find the median, right, as well, of we don't want to be a control freak, but we also don't want to be naive and overly general and non-definitive in the way that we communicate, right? It's just like when you're having a conversation with a person, you can't be necessarily so controlling of the conversation that it's rigid and it's scrunched and oppressed, but you also can't be so nondescript, so open, so general and non-definitive that it's an energy waste or an energy drain just to be there. So we got to make sure that we have the balance, otherwise the spell could already start off a bit lopsided. It also depends, again, what kind of spell you're doing. Now, typically clearing work, uncrossing work, hex breaking work, that kind of thing, where you're really just dealing with energy in general, as it's not necessarily grounded in the physical, is always going to go much quicker than anything else. Hex breakings, reversals, uncrossings, all of those kinds of things, even sending healing and any kind of healing spell in that respect, the energy is going to go to work really, really fast. And that is something you will notice almost right away, within a couple of days, maybe even hours, depending on, again, how good the caster is, how far along the caster is, how experienced all of that is, and how well put together the spell is. That can always come up super, super quick and super, super fast. If you are trying to work out or work on or create something very specific for yourself, magically or spiritually speaking, say you are doing a spell to attract money, or you are looking to bring in or attract new friends, or you're trying to get better business or whatever. That spell, if done right, will grow over time, and continuously give back, and you will start to notice, okay, really good shifts happening within about a fortnight, about 2 weeks, if you did it right. If nothing changes in a month, then the spell didn't work. Either the spell wasn't done right, or there's a roadblock somewhere, or there is something that is getting set off course, or there's not enough power behind the work itself. You should see things and feel things moving and conditions changing in the first 2 weeks of any given spell. If you don't, then either A, again, the spell is done wrong, it's not strong enough, or it might be an external factor or an internal factor is creating resistance there. External factors, yes, can indicate, of course, external resistance or problems, other energies, other people, other spirits, closed roads, roadblocks, things like that. Or internal ones could be maybe, again, you are not changing with your spell. Because we do need to work with our spell, right? People who say, I had a reading with a gal last month, which I thought it was weird, because she was like, will my house sell? I'm like, okay, well, how long have you had it on the market? She says, I haven't put it up yet. I'm like, okay, this is like the wrong mindset and mentality for any kind of approach to spiritual work. Like, you got to do something and then enhance it with magic. You got to change and work with your magic. Yes, you can absolutely, light that green candle when you're job hunting so that you can, of course, find the job that's right for you. Light that orange candle if you're looking for a new home and you're house hunting. Do something with your magic. A lot of people are kind of still stuck, I think. The people who I often find have the biggest trouble with that kind of thing tend to be the people who are still operating with maybe kind of an old church programming. They're kind of waiting to be delivered, so to speak. And it's not something that works with magic. Magic is about amplification and, of course, moving energy, moving tides, moving things so that they flow, and, of course, not only bending probability, but also creating things that weren't there, or moving circumstances and conditions in ways that were different than they were, and applying spiritual work and magic itself in order to create a completely different reality. So if a person is like, I want to manifest a new job, I want to attract a new job, I want to do a spell for a new job, but they're never filing applications, they're just sitting at home on their computer or on their phone all day, or they're just going to work like normal, they're not really participating with their spell work. They're kind of maybe even working against it. So check yourself if that's what's going on. But typically, spells should work quickly. They should be. If they're not working, there shouldn't be I've been doing this spell for a year. Like, if you cast a spell a year ago and nothing's happened, that spell is done. Not happening. It fizzled out a long time ago. See what you need to do in order to keep up with your work. And again, pay attention if there are roadblocks or external issues. There might be other things that you need to do alongside your spell. You might need to do some road opening work, right? Maybe there has to be a path to the thing that you want opened, because there isn't a path open right now. Maybe you have something in mind, but you don't know how to get it, or you don't know how to even take steps on the mundane to make it happen. That's where road opener work is really helpful. But you do need to know, well, is it working? Is it not working? And how long should I be waiting? Typically, again, once you get spells going, you should be feeling a change within the first few days, even hours. And things should start showing up in alignment with that work within the next 2 weeks to a month, hopefully sooner, depending on how strong you are. If those kinds of things are not happening, that is something to keep track of. Now, we all have free will. We do. Some people don't trust their judgment, so they hate it when people talk about free will. Some people know they don't make good choices, and so they really don't like hearing people talk about free will. People don't trust themselves, so free will feels like they're being attacked. But we do. Sometimes you got to own where you've made a mistake. Did you turn something down? Did you put something off? Did you let your mood decide whether or not you were going to participate in the reality of your magic? If that's the case, Pay attention to that too. You know, maybe you did do a spell for new love, and then you just weren't in the mood to go out and date and talk to people, or you didn't follow up on a conversation, or you drifted away, or you ghosted somebody. You know, it's not about judging you. It's just about being accountable, right? It's just about being accountable. You might have to do it again because you didn't see it through. You might have to do it again because you didn't take what showed up as a result of your work. Sometimes we gotta, remember, pay attention to the spiritual maturity aspect of this all as well. Because our spells, our guides, our deities don't push our free will. They assist with our magic, they assist with probability, they assist with guidance, but they don't stop us from getting in our own way, And so sometimes that is a factor with timing, and maybe a spell did work, but it didn't happen. I can't tell you how many times I've done readings for people, and they're like, oh, I can't find this, oh, I can't find love, oh, I'll never find a man, oh, I'll never find a job, oh, I'll never... And I'm like looking at the cards, and I'm like, you had something show up 2 months ago, what happened with that? Oh, I wasn't in a good place. I'm like, okay, but it did show up. Sometimes you gotta keep an eye on that as well. Pay attention, because sometimes your stuff is working and you're not working with it, and that's happening within the first month of you doing your work at all. If your spells are encountering any kind of resistance, spiritual, magical, or any kind, you will notice that resistance as well. And that might be time to do the spell again, do a different spell, or again, get some roads opened to open new paths to what you are trying to create. Just something to think about there. So that was my little spiel, just maybe a thought on how you might want to approach things like timing and spell work, and what we need to know about when and how things are working, and how long to wait before we call something, in terms of did it work, did it not work. And what we also need to keep in mind for ourselves as far as accountability and what we need to do to participate. So I hope this does answer your question. I would love to come back and expand on this. I do want to try and keep these videos, in the 10 to 20 minute range if possible. So I think I'm going to close this up here. But if you do have questions, please write the questions in the comments in the down bar below. I love the opportunity to come and explore and expound upon these topics with people. I know a lot of people like to kind of just come and do more of a Dear Diary, affirmation, confirmation, validation thing down in the comments below. But don't let that come before your questions. Let me know what you think in the down bar below, and I might come back with a new video soon. You guys take care, and I'll see y'all again.